coming to you from the Canadian Beef Industry Conference in Calgary. I'm Piper Whalen with Alberta Beef Producers, and we're joined today by Ryan Copithorne, President and owner of Cows in Control. Ryan, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
So can you tell us a little bit about what your company does and the services you offer to producers?
Yes, Cows in Control is a company I set up to help ranchers. It's to be a service company for ranchers, basically. As a rancher myself for most of my career, I was always looking for somebody that could provide that kind of marketing advice or timing, because I was always too busy as a rancher, as most ranchers usually are. They're calving and weaning and doing all those things. They never have time to think about marketing. So I set up a company that where I spend most of my time now just tracking what's going on in the market, what's going on in the industry, trying to help ranchers come up with strategy, marketing advice, price protection. So I help them understand all the tools out there for locking in prices, and just generally being there to do consulting and willing to work on things that ranchers generally don't have time to work on.
Absolutely. Sounds great. So you were speaking this week at the conference. What did we miss in your presentation?
Well, I think I was talking about in the presentation some of the ups and the potential for the markets to go higher, but it's also gone straight up in the last little bit, and probably is due for a check at some point. So I'm telling people when you have good prices like this, don't be afraid to take advantage of it. But I think generally when I see on the horizon is higher prices, because I think we're into a bigger commodity cycle, but those things are never guaranteed. So I highlighted some cautions out there as well, that I think even though cattle numbers are down in Canada and the U.S., and that's kind of what's driving this market right now, there's still lots of cattle on feed in Canada. So they've gone up pretty far and pretty fast, despite the fact that we still have a lot of cattle on feed. The other thing, we're getting less cattle on feed, but relatively, historically, we've got lots of cattle on feed. And we're in the middle of a drought situation, so there could be some cattle come to town, and that could affect our bread prices more than anything, but it's something to keep an eye on. And other than that, I think there's still pretty good opportunity to even just to hang on at these high prices, but you'll definitely want to risk manage it, because now your starting price for these cattle that you put into feedlots and such is so much higher that there's a lot more risk out there that we have to be careful for. So I'm always encouraging people to manage your bottom side risk as well as be optimistic about these prices. So
definitely. So for a producer who's trying to figure out what they need to do this fall, what might be the best plan going forward, do you have any tips based on these cautions and opportunities?
So definitely you want to have your price protection in place, and definitely these forward sales that are being offered right now, the feedlots are quite concerned about numbers this fall. So I tend to think the feedlots are paying up pretty good dollars right now for cattle for forward delivery. So these forward delivered calf prices right now seem pretty attractive to me, even though I think they're justified and quite reasonable. As a producer, I would take advantage of some of these opportunities, because there's a lot of demand in the market right now.
Definitely. And you showed us some interesting graphs in your presentation just about how things have changed over the past few decades, and you mentioned about how things might not look like they did in, I believe it was 2015, 2016 you mentioned, correct?
Yeah, like 2014, 15 were sort of our last peak. And then everybody got really disappointed in 2016 when the market fell apart. And it was such a short-lived rally. But this is different now, because in that period there was a lot of heifer retention that came in automatically, and we haven't seen that yet. We haven't seen any holdback of cows or heifers. The drought is causing our numbers to drop to such a level that I think this rally is going to extend for a while. And we're really short of cattle, especially in the U.S. They're short of cattle. So the rally, I think, is going to last longer than it did in that period, which is good. But just be cautious. There's always dips and drops along the way, and it's never a straight up path. It's more like a zigzag path. But
definitely good to remember. So for producers who are interested in learning more about the services that you offer, where can they find you?
Well, they can go to my website. I have a website at cowsincontrol.com, cowsincontrol.com. And on there, we have a free newsletter service. So anybody can sign up to that. It's no obligation. I just send out a monthly newsletter, just kind of with thoughts and ideas for where I think markets are and some market ideas. And then we also have a paid subscriber service as part of my service, which is more in-depth strategy and setting up marketing plans with producers. And people can always get a hold of me by phone or email, or all that contact information is on the website. So.
Wonderful. And I know with how the fall is looking, I think there'll be lots of people interested in learning more. So that's great.
Yeah, thank you.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Ryan.
All right, thank you.